Alrighty, here we go. Okay. So my name is Jake Gonzalez. And today I will be talking about corn ethanol. So in slide one we have a little cornfield. And then on the right one we have just the gas that uses the ethanol. So what is ethanol? So ethanol, it's an alcohol-based fuel, and it's made from plant material. Most gasoline sold in the US already contains it. So it blends, like the first picture, you saw the gas, it blends with the ethanol 10, ethanol 15, or even 85. So it makes it one of the most commonly used renewable fuels in today. And right here we have a little gasoline pump. So next slide is corn. So corn's a big primary one. Corn is the primary biological source of ethanol in the US today. It's grown mostly in the Midwest, and like all plants, it depends on photosynthesis, to convert sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water into glucose. So that glucose is later used to create ethanol. Now here we have a little corn. Next is milling and enzymes. So the first step in ethanol production is milling. The corn kernels are dried, and ground into a fine powder. The enzymes are added to break down the starch inside the corn into simple sugars like glucose. So right here we have a little bit of corn powder. Next is fermentation and distillation. Distillation. So next, the yeast is added, and fermentation begins. The yeast uses the glucose and releases ethanol into carbon dioxide through the same fermentation and respiration process. After fermentation, the mixture is heated and distilled to separate and purify the ethanol into fuel grade quality. Next is availability and the carbon impact. So corn ethanol is already fully developed and widely used. The US produces about 15 billion gallons of ethanol each year. It's a lot, because corn absorbs carbon dioxide while it grows, so the fuel can reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by 20 to 40% compared to gasoline, especially depending on how it's produced. Next are economic impact and communication. So, corn ethanol has a major economic impact. It supports more than 300,000 jobs, especially in farming and production. It boosts rural communities and decreases our reliance on imported oil. So, the public mainly learns about ethanol through fuel pumps, labels, car manufactured recommendations, and government outreach from agencies like the Department of Energy. Over here we have them just getting the corn and putting it in the truck. So our analysts, so corn ethanol is a useful renewable fuel, but it isn't perfect. It reduces emissions and supports American farmers, but it also requires a lot of land, water, and energy. I recommend continuing to use corn ethanol while improving sustainability in farming and production. If funded were unlimited, I would invest in renewable powered ethanol plants, more efficient fermentation technology, and research into next generation biofuels like cellulosic ethanol and algae fuels. These steps would make ethanol cleaner and more effective in the future. Thank you.